Right on. T's Weird Week Live. Hey everyone, I'm T. Krulos.
And I'm pretty sure I'm Heidi Erickson.
So first thing I want to say is if you're listening to the podcast version of this episode, this week we're doing the Name the Clips contest. Our awesome sound engineer, Andrew, always finds the best little clips to punctuate our thoughts. So if you write those down and name all of them, you'll get some pretty cool prizes. We'll give you some paranormal conference swag. I'll give you some signed books. Heidi might do a weird tarot reading with her,
Maybe.
her weird tarot deck. Andrew will record a personal album like the Wu-Tang Clan did, but then that shitty pharma bro stole it. No, I'm just kidding.
Did you see Wu-Tang's going to be at Summerfest?
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that great? Wu-Tang's for the children. I'm going to bring a bunch of kids to that show. I'm like, here you go, youngins. Boy, kids today probably aren't even impressed by the Wu-Tang Clan. That's just shocking to think about. Probably, this is old people music. And I was like, what? Wu-Tang gang? That's nothing to fuck with. They just won't get it. Okay.
So here's the topic everyone's been talking about the last couple days. It was Oscar night on Sunday. I was doing some editing, so I turned it on as background noise because there's some cool movies that were nominated this year, actually. So, I was curious to see the Hollywood spectacle. And then I looked up and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like the sound cut out. And that is because Will Smith did not like a joke about his wife that was told by Chris Rock. So he went up to the stage and he slapped him. It happens sometimes. Sometimes you say something and you get slapped about it.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah.
I was just confused because I think like everyone in the room, probably Chris Rock included, they thought that this was maybe he was fooling around or something.
Right.
But
he wasn't fooling around. I don't think so.
No.
There were people who were saying that it was all set up to try and boost ratings for the Oscars because, let's be honest, the Oscars has not exactly been riveting television for the last, 20 years or so.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was a pretty much
genuine.
I felt like that felt pretty genuine to me. I've gotten into several arguments about the situation. I can't believe that's what I'm doing with my time.
I mean, people have very strong opinions about it one way or the other.
Indeed they do.
To start with, I don't think it was staged either because people are like, oh, that was obviously staged to boost ratings. Of what?
Right.
It's happened like halfway through the program. So was it to boost ratings for the last half of the Oscars this year?
Yeah.
Or do they think that people are going to be so curious about who might get slapped next year that they're going to tune in when they don't usually?
They should have just a slapping section in the middle of the show every year where just people get slapped. I would love it. I would 100% tune into that. They're right. You got me, Oscars. You got me.
That's what I was saying. I was like, if anything, I wanted the violence to escalate. I wanted to see like everyone in the room start, Benedict Cumberbatch is like punching someone.
Oh my God. I have a feeling like Benedict Cumberbund, like Cucumber Bindi Bumper I feel like that guy could take a punch like none other. I feel like if you cracked Benedict Bumbly Snatch in the chin, like his neck would just go back like Mr. Incredible, and then just boing, like this, like one of those bobblehead birds.
I say bad form.
Yeah, and then he'd just eat you like a pterodactyl. I think is what would happen. That guy's not of this world. Yeah, 100%. Get Cher in there, just swinging Lady Gaga around by her extensions. Yeah, fuck yeah. Meryl Streep, that bitch can fight. She probably bites and stuff. Celebrity death match. Yes, Ray. 100%. It's a great idea. No, it was a legit thing, and I don't know. There's the two sides of it are violence never solves anything, and you should never ever use violence. And then the other side, which is sometimes if you make your living taking pot shots at people, there's going to be a night where somebody's husband's not going to be interested in hearing that.
Yeah. My two opinions, and believe me, Chris Rock and Will Smith are going to be just fine without my opinions.
Oh yes, they certainly will. Oh yeah.
But to think about Chris Rock's perspective, it's not a good precedent to have people go up and punch you whenever they don't like your jokes,
Sure.
because it's comedy. It's sometimes the jokes suck, sometimes they're offensive, but you know you just can't punch someone just because you don't like their joke. Will Smith, I mean, I get it. Like his wife, it has no hair for a reason, and it's a sensitive topic, I'm sure. The only thing that I'm disappointed about that is that that's all anyone talked about in the media the next day, the next couple of days, and Will Smith won an Oscar for Best Actor, which
He
I'm
did.
sure is very well deserved. I haven't seen that movie. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure he did a great job. But
Will Smith
nobody,
is a very good actor. He's a super
yeah,
good actor.
sure, I've loved him
Yeah.
in everything that I've seen him in. I think
Yeah.
so. It sucks that people aren't talking about that, and they're just talking about this punch.
I
Which
know, but you also can't like write it off as just like a bit of like celebrity gristle. It is actually a culturally important thing. And again, as you said, neither Chris Rock nor Will Smith nor anybody else needs to hear my opinion about it. But the fact of the matter is, like culturally, for Black femmes, their hair, that's a big deal. That's not just a
sure,
hair joke. People who
yeah,
are writing off as a hair joke were minimizing the fuck out of it. Further, Chris Rock bloody well knew that. He literally did a documentary called Good Hair
yeah.
about the cultural importance of hair to Black women. So he knew it wasn't just a joke. And yeah, like maybe you shouldn't go around smacking people, but like you shouldn't wait out back in a parking lot for them and knock their teeth out either. That was an open handed smack. That wasn't meant to hurt Chris Rock. That was
Right.
meant to embarrass him and make him shut up. Doesn't mean it's okay, but I get it. Like, I get it. Sometimes you need to be like, no, you cannot make fun of my wife's serious medical condition that you totally know why that's not, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not going to dump on Will Smith for having a moment, and he apologized. I think he did. There was two apologies going around. Apparently the one that was Chris Rock's was fake, but I don't know if the one that Will Smith allegedly posted was true or
That
not.
was true. Yeah,
That was true. So
yeah.
Will Smith apologized. He was like, I'm sorry. I had a moment that wasn't appropriate. I shouldn't have done that. Um, Chris Rock didn't apologize because I'm sure his perspective is it was just a joke. But like maybe comedians shouldn't make jokes about people in that way. And I guess
Well,
that is comedy, but like
I'll say about Chris Rock. He did not press charges against
no, he
him, which
didn't.
which he
He
could
didn't.
have, because he knows that
Yeah.
he got slapped. And he'll be fine. By the way, I've been slapped before,
Right. He's
a
gonna
few
live through it
times.
for sure. He will totally live through it. I don't think that Chris Rock was that rattled. Like honestly, he just kind of shook it off and went on with the show, which was maybe the appropriate response. Like I went too far and I got slapped, and I guess that's just what happens, and we're gonna move on with it. It's honestly at this point, it's between Chris Rock and Will Smith. It really, really is. But there's been a lot of like, frankly, pretty racist shit people have been saying about this whole event who have
Yeah,
no business weighing
yeah.
in on it to begin with at all. Not at all. Like, be supportive or shut up is pretty much how I feel about that. But you found an interesting tidbit that I actually
Yeah,
didn't know about. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, ah, so see, Chris Rock actually fucked up twice that night.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Because
someone pointed this out, and they were very brilliant for catching this. And if you are a theater nerd, this is not going to be news to you. But I love it. I just love it because there is a theatrical superstition about the play Macbeth. And nominated alongside Will Smith was Denzel Washington, who starred as the title role in an adaptation of Macbeth.
which was supposed to be
Um,
really good, BT dubs, like amazing.
I heard it's good too. I haven't seen it yet, but I certainly would love to see it. It was directed by one of the Coen brothers. I mean,
Mm,
they're great filmmakers.
right.
So I'm just going to read this thing that's circulating, the evidence, the smoking gun here. This person says it was 53 seconds between Chris Rock mentioning Macbeth in a theater, which is a key point, and
Yep.
getting slapped by a guy with the same initials as Shakespeare, right? Will Smith, William Shakespeare,
Oh my God.
who played King Richard, right? He was not doing a Shakespeare, but he was playing, the father of Serena and Venus Williams, Richard Williams, who in turn comforted by a guy who was playing Macbeth, Denzel Washington. Shakespeare on a
Wow.
mad one last night.
Wow.
So the theatrical superstition is that you cannot say the word Macbeth in a theater unless you are rehearsing or performing the actual play, in which some of the lines, of course, have the name in
Right.
it.
Yeah.
But you just can't walk into a theater and be like, "Hey, who's pumped about Macbeth? Let's get this play started."
Yeah. You're not
Because
allowed to
that
say
would
it.
curse you.
There's another name for it. You call it the Scottish play.
The Scottish play or the
Yeah.
Scottish king, you can refer to it.
Right.
I looked up the Wikipedia for the Scottish play, which has its own entry. So you can refer to the character as the Scottish king, or I love this, Mackers, or
Oh,
Mac,
Mackers, you scamp.
or Macbee.
Oh, Mickey B. Sure.
Yeah, right. Macbee, but not Macbeth.
But not Macbeth. It's bad luck.
Right.
It's like you can't say good luck to somebody before they go on stage. That's why you have to say break a leg.
Go slap someone on stage.
Go
Or
slap
break a leg.
someone.
Break leg, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
could have tied into it too.
he invoked the name of the cursed play,
Yep.
and then he got slapped on national television. And I'd like to point out, he didn't just get slapped on national television. He got slapped by the Fresh Prince of fucking Bel-Air. The thing about Will Smith is he has a reputation for 40 years of being in Hollywood and being in the music industry, of being a guy who doesn't really cuss. He certainly doesn't start fights. Like, he keeps his nose really clean. He's got a reputation as being this like very wholesome character. So like, there's a lot of people who could have slapped Chris Rock. The fact that it was Will Smith was definitely significant. But I tell you, the devil works hard. But I guess Will Shakespeare works even harder. Like, he was ready to jump. Good job. Yeah, wow.
There's even an Eminem line. He says, Will Smith ain't got to cuss to sell records. Well, I do. So fuck him and fuck you too.
And yet no one has smacked Eminem. Right. Shocking. It's shocking.
I'm sure people have. Just not on stage, maybe.
just not on national television. That's what kills me too, is that a lot of people were like, that was the big thing. It's like the sanctity of the Oscars. Like, it wasn't classy. Yeah, fuck you, dude. Like, it's the Oscars. It's just a bunch of rich people who make movies, who are all movies. Like, have you seen movies? Like, there's definitely violence in them. Just sitting around, like, and then when they're done jerking each other off, they go home and what? Adrenochromes with Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Like, this is not a, like, who do you think these people are that you're destroying like the sanctity of their classy event? Like, whatever, shut up.
Yeah. So but I love the Macbeth series because the Oscars took place in a theater, the Dolby Theater, and I am sure that they have maybe not done a theatrical production of Macbeth, but I bet that they showed that movie Macbeth in that theater.
Yeah.
So that adds to the curse, because like, the curse is if you go into a theater that's performing Macbeth in some way, then you're going to curse it by saying the name. And from what I've read, the curse is not usually like people don't like die a horrible death, like the poltergeist curse or something like that, but it'll ruin the production as far as, you'll lose money.
Right. It curses the production. Exactly.
Will start tripping over their feet, shit like that. So,
well, it did curse Macbeth actually, because Denzel Washington did not win. Yeah. Will Smith won.
Right.
So, Chris Rock is lucky Denzel was not the guy who got up there and slapped him. I feel like slapped him. I feel like if Denzel had smacked him, it probably would have been a backhand, not an open hand. I feel like Denzel probably would have sat Chris Rock right down on the ground. Chris Rock is just a little dude. He's not super big. I mean, I guess there was somebody was like, you could have killed him. I was like, no. Will Will Smith is not going to kill anybody with an open-handed slap. That's not going to happen ever. Maybe like, who is that one dude? The guy who plays Hellboy. Why can't I think of his name? I'm
Ron
talking
Perlman.
about
Yeah,
Ron
Ron
Perlman.
Perlman. Yeah.
If Ron Perlman open hand slapped Chris Rock, yes, there would have been some danger to his life because Ron Perlman's got mitts like a pair of hams.
Yeah.
But Will Smith, I don't think so.
Especially if he slapped him with the Hellboy hand.
Right? Kaplow! Right into the ground. Jesus Christ. Can we stop talking about this now? Gosh, I'm so just inundated with the Will Smith stuff. It's just,
last thing I'm going to mention about, though, Andrew found that there's also a conspiracy that Chris Rock was wearing a cheek pad.
Sure.
I don't know how that would have helped, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Like, how much would it reduce the impact of a hand slapping your face?
Unless it was big enough where Chris Rock looked like the guy on the box of Lemonheads candy, I don't think it would have made any difference at all, personally.
Okay, let's you found something I was totally not aware of this. This is a internet urban legend, which is, you know, it's the wave of the future. We know about Slender Man, of course, and other similar stuff. But what the hell is going on with the back rooms?
What the hell is going on in the back rooms? Well, that's really the question. So, okay, the back rooms, and there's several groups on social media. There's definitely a back rooms page on Facebook if you guys are watching this on Facebook, where people essentially are just sharing images and stories of creepy liminal spaces. Liminal spaces are spaces that are in between. So, like if you are talking about, if you ever worked in a mall, and you go into the access in the back where like all the hallways are behind the shops, or an airport late at night when there's nobody in it, that's a liminal space. And it comes from this idea of the back rooms. And this is what I found. This originally came from a paranormal discussion board on 4chan. Asking for pictures that felt wrong or off somehow. One user submitted a photo of an oddly large open room with hideous yellow wallpaper, fluorescent lights you'd expect to find in a dollar store, and the kind of carpet that dominated dentist office in the early 90s. The photo featured a Dutch angle that made it seem all just a little more sinister. Another user contributed the evocative description. Are you ready for this description? It's poetry. It's pure, just nihilistic poetry.
Awesome.
If you're not careful and you no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you.
I think I used to work there.
Right? I feel like everybody at some point or another has come into a space that is like the back rooms. One of the best things I saw on the back rooms Facebook page was this guy who was attending a conference for his industry of whatever kind in his huge conference hall in Cincinnati, huge conference hall. And he ended up like trying to find a bathroom. This is an important part of the back rooms kind of mentality, is that you're living your everyday life. And around any corner, if you don't stay on the path, you could just clip into the back rooms and be stuck there forever. Because there are actually video games, and I can't remember for the life of me the video game they were first referencing, where if you found this one particular part of the game, there was a glitch that was built in by the game designers, so that if you passed through this wall, if you did a jump squat at the wrong place, you would end up in the back rooms. And it was deliberately created to be like 200 million square miles of just randomly segmented yellow rooms, and this like ominous noise in the background, this skittering, scuffling noise. It sounded like something enormous shuffling its way across a low pile shag carpet, and it is horrifying. Like, I have terrible claustrophobia, and the idea of that is so absolutely like rivetingly horrifying to me. They actually have created a video game for it now. Like that's coming out very soon because this idea has been so popular. But he had gone and looked for a bathroom at this like hall in Cincinnati and ended up lost for 3.5 hours in like the crazy rooms connected to other rooms. And he was posting pictures because people who he was at the conference with were like, dude, where the fuck are you? And he was like, I have no idea. I've been walking for 2 hours. I came all the way down to the bottom of these stairs, down 16 flights of stairs. And at the bottom, there's just an exit sign with no door. And he's like posting photographs of this stuff. Like it's so unbelievable. And he has no, like, he's like, everywhere I go, I only have like one bar of reception and it's only there for like 2 seconds. And like, he finally gets to a point in this whole scenario after walking through all these empty conference rooms with like all the chairs set up in them, but no people there, just like a 20-foot tall projection screen and no people in it, one empty water cooler in a giant like cavernous room and nothing else, like crazy, totally off like dream logic like spaces, when he finally gets a hold of the front desk and frantically is like, please help me, I've been lost for 3 hours in your conference center. And he knows that somewhere else in the building there's at least several hundred people who are here for this like whatever dental hygienist conference or whatever, but he can't hear anybody. He can't like, all evidence would suggest that he was the last person alive on Earth. So he finally gets a hold of this woman and he's panicking, he's freaking out. And she's like, oh, yeah, that'll happen. What do you see right now? And he's like, what do you mean? What do I see? I'm in yet another stairwell. And there's a window across from me where I can see yet another door that looks like the same door I swear I've seen 200 times already, except that's impossible. And she says to him, apparently, she says, oh, just jump over the railing and go up the way you came down.
Oh my God.
Which is absolutely, how does that affect anything? That's absolutely some video game bullshit. Like that doesn't make any sense at all. But I guess he did it and he got out. But like the whole effect of like the pictures he was trying to send to his friends and like the dead ends he was coming to, and just like the random like what that is the back rooms. That is the idea of the back rooms.
Yeah. Here Ray has a great story here. Says, I saw a podcast where a senile guy went to a back hallway in a mega mall and ended up passing away in the hallways because they were so rarely used.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Terrifying.
Yeah. Ray, if you remember that podcast, post a link in the comments and we'll put that in the show notes as well, because I want to hear it. That sounds terrible.
Definitely, if you ever like lived or worked any place where there was a backrooms-esque kind of situation, an old abandoned missile silo, like the backrooms at the mall are the worst. Abandoned malls, I think, are classic backrooms vibes. You know that there was at least a story of how that space was haunted or how something terrible had happened to somebody back there. But specifically, there was at least one legend, one myth about somebody who had gotten lost and never been seen again, never saw him again. And because these places almost always have 100 million like hidden nooks and crannies and rooms like filled to the ceiling with like old cardboard boxes that no one's been in since 1997. If someone told you they were never seen again, you could either believe that they were living like Gollum, like somewhere in a tunnel underneath Gap Kids, or that they had indeed passed away and no one would ever find them. Totally easy to believe.
I mean, I get low-key freaked out going into a Woodman's because I don't know how to get through the store, you know?
Right.
Like,
But can you imagine being in a Woodman's alone at
right.
night when the light, like there's one humming fluorescent light somewhere in like the cereal aisle and that's it?
Yeah.
No.
Here, Shane, he says he's been in the underground at Mayfair Mall, so a big shopping mall here in Milwaukee. I can
Have
get
you
this.
really?
Yeah.
That would be a great place to do a ghost hunt, I think. Because the
Right.
whole idea of the back rooms is not even that they're haunted. The whole idea of the back rooms is that they are somehow actually another dimension.
Yeah.
Like at some point, you're no longer connected to reality. You're existing in this liminal space in between,
Kind of
or
like
just,
the Black Lodge in Twin Peaks, where you're just like
yes.
walking through the same room over and over again.
Yes, absolutely 100% the Black Lodge, except, well, no, not even. Yeah, it's like a kind of like a nihilist Alice in Wonderland situation where you clip in and maybe you don't clip out at all. And there's a creature. Like, technically speaking, the basement hallways under
Always
my
under
high
my
school.
someone on
Yep,
Facebook.
that sounds right. That sounds like, yep. There's always someplace in the school that's just horrifying and terrifying.
Yeah.
Once as a very young child, I went to Catholic school in Scotland. It was called St. Mun's Catholic School. And it was massive. It was in this huge old building. I feel like probably used to be a castle, but it was very, very big stone building. And once when I was like 5 years old, they thought it'd be a smashing idea to send my little ass all the way across the school with this like note to the principal or whatever. And I don't know exactly what happened. I do know that I didn't get to where I was supposed to be going until almost the end of the school day, and they had sent me out right away in the morning. And that I have memories of walking around and around and around like giant stairwells and being on like floors of the school I didn't even know existed, and like giant attic spaces with one lone custodian in the middle of the room sweeping with one of those big push brooms. I don't know if that really happened or not, but that's what I remember. And I was definitely gone for a way, way long time. Back rooms, it's a whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is an interesting phenomenon. We're gonna have to keep a tab on. I'm gonna join that group, I guess. Right? There's a
Oh, you
Facebook
should.
group. Okay.
You should. There's some great small horror there, and there's definitely a lot of people posting things that are like just random moments of their life where they're like, this doesn't feel quite real. And it goes
Uh,
along a lot with like this idea that we live in a simulation, that theory. Definitely
Matrix.
ties
Yeah.
in. Yeah, the Matrix theory. It definitely uh, has a lot of like the Venn diagram of backrooms enthusiasts and people who think we live in a computer simulation is pretty close to a circle. So there's a lot of that too.
Shane says we need a whole episode dedicated to liminal
Oh,
spaces.
I love this idea. I love this. Okay, you guys, well, maybe tell us what your favorite liminal spaces are around Milwaukee and near to here, and maybe we will go to them and see what happens.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
We'll bring a big ball of yarn so we can
Right.
try to find our way back out. Yeah.
What if it was just me and Andrew and you just lost forever, like underneath the fucking mall for eternity? It'd serve us right.
So here's the story. Here, so I had a dream the other night. All right, I was standing up on a diving board, and I looked down and I saw you, Heidi, and Andrew, our sound engineer, and Misinformation, our trivia host, were sitting next to this pool. And then I looked down and I saw that it was actually an Olympic-sized swimming pool that was filled with Coors Light. So I dived into the pool, and it was so refreshing. I'm just kidding. I didn't have that dream, but
Wait, like bottles of Coors Light, or like you just saw it
no,
was filled with a foaming yellowish liquid, and
I
you were
could
like, that
just
sure looks
tell.
like Coors Light.
I could tell from the aroma that it was definitely Coors Light.
You were
And
like, that's the silver bullet for
I was
sure.
like, I'm diving straight into it. No questions asked.
Well.
No, actually, I just fabricated that dream because of this news item. Woman says Coors paid her $1,000 to successfully inject advertisements into her dreams. if this ain't some Philip K. Dick shit, I don't know what is. I mean,
Dude.
it's just so weird, so frightening. Just the beginning.
Yeah, $1,000. That seems like pretty low ball price
Yeah.
for anybody to be like, what if we injected ads right into your brain? There's no way this could go wrong. So, okay, what did she say happened exactly?
Yeah, here's what this article says. She replied to an ad, saying that a company was doing like a sleep study, dream test. This woman's name was Gould. What's her first name? Bobby Gould. And other subjects were directed to watch a video that featured Coors products amid waterfalls and jungle landscapes, and instructed to try to doze off while listening to audio from the video they just watched. For the next 8 hours, the travel writer said, that's Gould, the travel writer, said she did in fact have a series of weird Coors dreams. I had one where I was on a pogo stick jumping around with Coors products. Gould told The Hustle, is name of a site. In another one, I was on a plane dropping Coors cans on people, and they were cheering for me. I don't know if Coors is something to cheer about exactly, but
So were they like subliminal messages kind of thing? I thought we debunked the whole subliminal message situation. I thought that was like revealed to be not really a thing.
I don't think it was subliminal because they understood that they were watching like Coors advertising. I think it was just that they were trying to, how you like read or see something right before you fall asleep and then you have a dream about it. I think they were trying to force that into the subject matters to see if it would work or not. So it apparently did work on some level because she had dreams about Coors, because that was one of the last things she was thinking about before she fell asleep.
Okay. But hold on a second, because like I've definitely fallen asleep watching a movie or whatever, and maybe some bits and pieces of that might float into my brain and integrate themselves into the weird dream logic of whatever dream it is I'm having. But I don't like usually do that and then have my dream be nothing but, whatever. I'm suddenly not going to see anything but Howard the Duck in my dream. He might end up like at my dentist's office right next to my 4th grade teacher when I show up there, and nothing but my underpants because it's a dream. But it's not going to be a dream specifically about Howard the Duck. So that's a little bit suspicious and specific, because those were very positive Coors Light images she was dreaming about too.
Yeah.
It's not like she dreamt about a giant Coors Light gaining sentience and trying to like destroy the world.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's odd because it's definitely very hit or miss with me. I sometimes will watch a horror movie before going to bed, and I won't have any sort of bad dream that I know of. I mean, maybe I do.
Right.
And other times, something like that I just barely even think about becomes like a major part of my dreams that night.
Yeah, totally. So. I mean, I guess that's actually a really good point, T, because I read an article recently where they said that people who fall asleep, specifically people who fall asleep to horror movies and creepypastas, which I do all the time. I find creepypastas specifically very relaxing because the person who's like reading them usually has a deep, velvety voice because they're trying to read a horror story. And so I find that very peaceful. But the article said specifically that people who do that have lower empathy, that their brains function differently, and that they are more susceptible to psychosis, but less susceptible to suggestion. Mm-hmm. So maybe if you're the kind of person who can fall asleep to horror movies, you're not going to get the Coors Light thing. Like you're not going to dream about Coors Light. Or if you do dream about Coors Light, it'll be that like you're being chased by a bunch of Coors Light bees or dogs with bees in their mouth. I don't know. That just seems weirdly specific. They didn't explain the mechanics of this to her at all. They just were like, watch this video and fall asleep.
I think they made them watch videos, and then my understanding is that they had to listen to audio of the ads while they were falling asleep, right?
Sure.
Because by that point their eyes are closed, so they're just listening.
Right.
Hmm.
I don't like
Um,
that.
Oh, in June 2021, Science magazine reported that Coors, along with others, including Xbox and Burger King, were working with scientists to engineer ads into volunteers' dreams using audio and visual. So, this
Okay.
apparently is something that they're
Well,
trying.
that's actually better than I thought it was, because I honestly thought it was going to be like that they teamed up with Elon Musk and they were going to be like hardwiring
Yeah.
fucking Coors Light chips directly into your whatever. That was what I thought was you were going to tell me, which would have been some dick stuff. Some Philip K. Dick stuff.
Yeah.
That's still creepy though. I don't like, how are they going to use that information? How exactly are they going to use? I know if we play them audio of our commercials just as they're falling asleep, that they will dream of our like. I don't want them knowing when I'm sleeping and not sleeping, like some kind of creepy alcoholic Santa Claus. Oh, I'm very uncomfortable with this story.
Yeah, it's super creepy to me because like this
No.
is like the initial stage, right? They're trying to figure out what they can and can't do at all at this point. But imagine in the future when, like you say, they'll use some Elon Musk technology that they're trying out on monkeys right now, where they'll be able to beam a commercial straight into your brain if you're willing to, like, sign over that right or whatever.
Well, fortunately, you guys, all those monkeys died. So you're not at any risk of being forced to drink Coors Light against your will at any time soon. Although I will say that I would have a nice Coors Banquet any old day. I feel like it's the true champagne of beers, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I was gonna say it's the beer refreshing, but that's hams. I think I'm
It's
thinking of
hams.
hams. Yeah.
Wow, I've not had a ham since high school. That sounds delightful. For our sloppy episode, we were talking to you guys about having a drunken episode, a
Hmm.
sloppy episode of T's Weird Week, wherein we take questions from you, our loyal viewers. And if you challenge us, we have to take shots or something. But I think it
Right.
would be great if we had like maybe a poll and you guys can decide which crappy domestic beer we are going to have to drink for the duration of this show. It could be a marathon. We'll raise money for Jerry's kids or whatever. We'll send it to MUFON. MUFON seems actually pretty well funded. They're probably fine.
Yeah. No, they're a big organization. They have
Yeah.
chapters all over the world.
Yeah.
They have an annual symposium, which
What? Where's
I'd love.
what?
I think it switches locations, but yeah, I'd love to go.
We should definitely go.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Oh, I hope it's someplace warm. That'd be really nice. Oh, wow. Yeah, we should definitely. Yeah, but they're well funded. We're not going to raise money for those guys. Maybe for,
Yeah.
does that one guy still talk to Zorth? There's no way he's not in financial dire straits. That poor motherfucker.
Zorth.
Not Zorth. Zorth is fine. Zorth is the chairman of the board. I meant the
Yeah.
guy who's been talking to him.
Dr. J, as he likes to be known.
Dr. J.
Something Johnson, aka Dr. J. If you're listening, he's a Bigfoot personality that says he's in telepathic communication with
Yeah.
a forest person, or common as us lay people call him, a Bigfoot named Zorth, who is the head of the Zanu Council of Forest People, aka Big Feet. I guess that's the plural.
Bigfoots.
And but sadly, Zorth told him that he's pro-Trump. So
Oh, God. Wait,
after,
Zorth is pro Trump?
yeah.
Zorth is. I don't believe that for a second.
No, he's not pro-Trump, but he's telling Dr. J that Trump is going to be the victor, according to his vision that he and the Zanu Council has.
Huh.
It's funny how after thousands of years of not giving a fuck about humans and hundreds of years of not giving a fuck about American politics, they suddenly decide to weigh in on Trump.
You don't know. Maybe Zorth absolutely voted for Tricky Dick. Maybe he was
Yeah.
all about Ronald Reagan. Maybe they've been in it to win it this whole time. Maybe so.
And he's just really
Jeez.
bad. He's really bad at. He's like, Nixon's gonna get a second term. Trust me. No.
Right. Just because he's a Bigfoot doesn't mean he's good at any of this. Like
Lincoln,
if Big
Abraham Lincoln's gonna lose. I know this for sure.
like, I mean, in the end, Abraham
He
Lincoln
did
did
lose.
indeed
Yeah,
lose.
yeah.
He lost his head at the theater. Oh, too soon. Oh man.
I love the idea of a mystical, like, all-seeing forest being who just is wrong about every
All the
prediction.
time. He's like, Pogs, they're gonna be big. This is a timeless trend. Oh my god, why didn't Course just call Zorth if they wanted to know how to put that right into people's brains? Zorth probably knows how to do that. He would do it wrong though. He would do it completely wrong. He'd end up making everyone hate Coors Light. Their sales would drop, plummet. They'd be like, what the fuck, Zorth? And he'd be like, sorry. I'm not actually that good at this.
He's like, sorry, it's the same thing happened when I invested in Beanie Babies. This all went to shit.
That's too bad.
Speaking of Zorth, who, and Dr. J, who communicates with him, has posted QAnon shit.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
This is how I found out about that story, by the way, was I joined Team Squatchin' USA, which sounds like an awesome group to me. So
totally awesome. Radical, even.
But then around the election, I started noticing this like kind of QAnon, like pro-Trump stuff. And I was like, what the hell is this doing in this Bigfoot group? And there you go. Dr. J said that Zorth told him some QAnon talking points. And I was like, this is extra weird. Extra weird. But if you've been listening to the show, we've been trying to keep up with this splinter cult, the QAnon cult in Dallas, Texas, which the saga has been going on now for, almost 6 months now.
Yeah, long time.
So if you're not familiar or you haven't heard the show, in November, on the date of anniversary of JFK's assassination, a group of QAnon believers converged on Dallas because they thought that JFK Jr., who is also dead, would be making an appearance, and this was going to be this huge historic moment where the government would be overthrown, especially. And a lot of people moved on after that date, but a significant amount of people stayed in Dallas and formed like kind of a cult compound, which
at
is
the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, right. They've all been staying at the Holiday Inn. They frequently utilize the hotel's meeting room so they can have meetings about what's going on and how they're going to be triumphant someday soon. But I've made a lot of jokes about them, and there's a lot to joke about because their leader, for example, likes to have a parrot sitting on his shoulder, but it's frightening. It's really frightening. So I was kind of relieved, I think, to see this headline from Vice. This is from a few days ago. The JFK QAnon cult is finally collapsing. Quote, shit's falling apart. So,
are they just running out of money, or?
No, they've been having some, as happens with fringe groups, internal conflict.
Okay.
So the splinter group maybe this is not, I'm like, oh, thank God, it's the end of it. They're going to go home or whatever. But actually, what might be happening is this very fringe group is splintering into even more smaller fringe groups because the leader has been having some conflicts with like his second in command.
Oh.
So, they're kind of at war with each other within this group. One of the things that I'm trying to find the quote here. One of the things that helped this was actually the war against Ukraine.
Oh.
They seem to have different opinions about what's going on there. Where is that quote? I just lost it. Yeah, it's every single thing that happens in the world, they think, of course, directly relates to them. Yeah, here it is. The latest conspiracy the group has clung to is that the Ukraine war is part of a plan to uncover President Joe Biden's criminality and replace him with JFK, who is very much alive and hiding in plain sight, disguised as former President Donald Trump. So this is always evolving. They're saying that JFK is, in fact, actually also Donald Trump. They're one and the same, which is
wow,
kind of far-fetched.
So wait, they think that Donald Trump is in reality the original JFK?
Yeah. JFK
How old would
Senior.
How old would JFK be right now? Like,
that's a good question.
wouldn't he be like 95 or something?
Very old, but not like to the point where, let's see. JFK was born in 1953. Oh, no. Yeah, that's when he started in office.
Yeah.
He was he was born in 1917.
Yeah, so he'd be over 100.
Yeah.
And like Donald Trump's in pretty rough shape, but I don't think he's in that rough a shape for sure. Also, not for nothing, but Donald Trump totally slept with a bunch of sex workers, specifically porn stars and strippers.
Yeah.
And many of them have notoriously said that his member is small and bulbous, like a mushroom, Stormy Daniels said, like one of the mushrooms in Super Mario Brothers.
Right, Toad.
Whereas Toad. Whereas JFK, who also slept with everybody all the time, notoriously had a rather impressive member. So, I mean, I guess that seems like proof in the pudding to me, if you will.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Show the biggest member of all time.
Oh my God, that's so like, okay, JFK was not a perfect human by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But he was debonair and a great public speaker. Like that was one of his really, like, historically, that was something he was really, really good at. He was a captivating public speaker. And these people obviously idolized JFK. They literally were waiting for him to come back from the dead like Jesus, right? You would think that these people who so idolized JFK, like, I can't imagine how they could look at Donald Trump, who is really just like a grease fart stain on an old like bar stool of a person, and think that this guy is in reality JFK. That seems like a horrible, like, very disrespectful to the memory of actual, Kennedy. Like, it just can't, unless they think that maybe Kennedy is literally inside him. Like maybe Donald Trump is some sort of lumpy biosuit that Kennedy is like just wearing like an astronaut. I don't get it. I don't get it. And how did they come to these conclusions? Did the parrot tell them?
I'm guessing so.
T. Is the parrot telling them this? Where are they getting? It's the parrot, isn't it?
I think I tried to find the name of that parrot, but I couldn't find any reference to it.
I think we decided his name was Blinky. Captain Blinky.
Okay, so here's some more info. One of these splinter groups now, right? Protzman, I forget his first name, was the leader of this group in Dallas, and then pretty much his second in command had a falling out with him about stuff, and so the splinter group moved to. I think you can guess where they moved to. It's one
Was
of
it
the
the La Quinta?
places. No, not in Dallas. They moved to a different state, and it's a state where you're not like, oh, of course, Florida. They moved
Oh,
to
sure.
Florida,
Sure.
and it says that they moved to Florida, which is led by a woman named Shelley, who is one of Protzman's most loyal lieutenants until Protzman suddenly kicked her out earlier this month.
Oh.
The decision to kick her out of the group came as a huge shock to many, as she was seen as Protzman's most trusted advisor. While it wasn't revealed at the time, in a video posted to Telegram weeks later, Protzman claimed he kicked Shelley out because money that had been donated to her Venmo account to cover the group's expenses was, Protzman claimed, withdrawn by her husband. Her husband absconded with the QAnon cult's money.
Oh.
They need that
Whoopsie.
money to pay for their hotel, to buy a bird feed for the parrot, to buy bleach. They need
Dude,
bleach,
that fucking parrot eats onion rings and fish fillet sandwiches. There's no way they're giving him bird food. Captain Blinky's not here for any goddamn bird food, first of all. But yeah, they do have to have their bleach to drink every morning. Did you ever find out what all was in that cocktail? I kind of want to know what all was in it.
I'm guessing not bleach directly, but something that has bleach qualities. Probably some colloidal silver is.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, people say it's a cure for COVID. And
coconut oil. What else were they saying? I wonder if they put cannabis in it. That was a big conspiracy theory that like people who smoke cannabis couldn't get COVID. That'd be pretty sweet. That would explain a lot too. They're up there drinking bleach and weed juice or whatever. No wonder they're talking to a parrot. Jesus Lord. I do wonder what was all in there. Okay, so we still don't know. They can't just come out and just make these pronouncements. Do they just like sit in a room at the Holiday Inn playing Mad Libs until like one of these things comes about? They must be old tube television trying to adjust the antenna, looking at the static, like trying to pick out shapes and shit. Like, where are they getting these things from? Where are they getting these things from? Or is it the leader guy who's like sitting somewhere? It's gotta be him, right?
Yeah, I think it was him. I think he probably charmed the rest of the group somehow.
Right.
And just like anything that popped into his head, he was like, here's what's going on. I just had this revelation because I know some coincidence between one thing and another. So listen to me. And there's a lot of people who are desperate for leadership, I guess,
And meaning, because the world does, especially in politics, like there's a lot of absurdity. A lot of it doesn't seem to be making any sense. A lot of it seems to fly contrary to common sense for a lot of people, I think. And they need to believe that the absurdity has a reason, that the reason it doesn't make any sense is because what we're seeing is only the surface. And like there's a much bigger story going on underneath. And it wouldn't be this confusing disaster all over the place all the time. Yep. No, I know it.
Yeah, and I really kind of get it about cults too. I mean, I can see the appeal of being like, you know what? I don't want to deal with any shit anymore.
Right.
So I'm going to do what you say, and I'm totally going to tune out to everything else because...
Right. There's some freedom in that because then you're no longer a slave to all the things in your life you have to worry about, your bills and your job and your your wife or your husband or your whatever. All you have to do is listen to Captain Blinky and drink your bleach juice, and that's it.
Drink bleach, give them all your money. Who cares? Yep. Go like work in the field for 12 hours a day and
right.
and then sleep in a shed on a piece of cardboard or whatever because they tell you that's what you need to do.
But it really says a lot about like the state of the modern world that there are people who are like, "Yep, that sounds like a way better deal than whatever I've got going on for me." Wow. If you can look at that and like do a cost to profit like analysis and be like, yes, Captain Blinky, that's my fucking dude, then probably the bleach is not going to hurt you that much. You'll be all right. You'll be fine. It'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah, why not? Okay, well, I think that's all the stories that we got. Certainly an interesting week. And again, make a list of all the special samples that you hear this episode, because if you get them right, you could win a wonderful prize from T's Weird Week, whatever that might be. We're not sure yet, but we'll find something for you.
We'll custom tailor it to your needs. We'll ask Captain Blinky what he thinks you should get.
We'll send you your own parrot. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. There are some people tuning in tonight. It's good to see you commenting. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Good night, everyone.